Hi, everyone. Good morning. Hi, Robert.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good evening to you.
Yes. Welcome, everyone, to today's Innovation Coffee. We've today it's the Coffee is called Developing in a Digital Community, and we're lucky to have a really special guest today. So we'll introduce you to the guest in a few seconds. Before that, I guess Robert, how's your week going?
It's going good. Cheers.
I've got my Game Boy.
There you go.
There you
Clink.
go. Cool.
Innovation coffee. Yeah. The week's going good. Busy. I don't know. What is it? Regular work stuff, side work stuff, fun stuff. But busy, of course.
Cool. Well, I see we already have a few comments on the chat. Awesome. It's good to see friendly faces in the chat. Matthew and we've got iShot JR, Anita. Awesome. Cool. And Robert, I'll let you introduce our guest today.
Okay.
Yeah.
Ready for the drum roll here.
Ready? Yeah. Boom.
Yeah, so A13 is a friend and co-admin with me on the DevEco Discord server. I've known him for almost a year now, and very excited to speak to him about some of the community stuff that he's been doing in the server. And I think more than anything, it's very cool to see people like A13 who are actually working in a community to build actual products. And so we're going to get to speak to him about his new device, which is called the Tony device. A13, how's it going? You have your coffee?
Well, I stick with water, but in a mug.
Okay, cool. Well, there you go. We'll pretend it's coffee.
Yeah. Hi. I'm excited to be here. Yeah. I was introduced as A13. My name is Tore, but everybody just calls me A13 because it's so much easier to pronounce for everybody. I'm 20. I'm doing currently my second vocational training as an electrician for systems and devices. And I'm really interested in Linux and embedded systems, especially with ARM. And I'm also an admin on the DevEco Discord server.
So we'll get to talk a lot about the DevEco server, I hope, Alessandro, because that's our baby. But A13, you said you're very much into ARM and embedded and all that kind of stuff. I mean, what drove you into this? Because we didn't get to hear much of, I don't think, your background. Like, did you come across it in school? You're still very young, right? So I can't imagine. Were you 10, or how old were you when you started getting into this kind of stuff?
I think it was 2013 when I saw an advertisement for the first generation of Raspberry Pis, and I was like super interested, but I didn't have one at the time. And later, like my history teacher actually saw that I'm interested in Linux, and he actually bought a Raspberry Pi 3, which was like brand new at the time, from his own money, and gave it to me. And that's how I started with ARM, basically. And I didn't stick with the Raspberry Pi either. Like, I quickly moved to Orange Pi and then Banana Pi, and now I'm a huge fan of the 96 board family, especially because you have like the standardized form factor, and like everything tries to be like interchangeable. Like you can build a application for with one board and later upgrade to another because you have the pin compatibility and that kind of stuff.
So it's really interesting. I mean, 2013, you said you got your first Raspberry Pi, right?
No, that was when I firstly saw the Raspberry Pi.
And when did you get your first Raspberry Pi then?
I think it was 2016, but
2016.
Yeah, I didn't really start it till I was 18. Yeah.
No, it's quite cool. I mean, we'll talk about a lot of stuff. But what's interesting is that 4 years ago you got your first single board computer, and now you're building your own. So it's quite a quick development, I guess. You know, it's if you think about people like taking
also,
years.
it's also thankfully to amazing tools we had on our hand, and of course the community.
Everyone seems to have that. I feel like not everyone can say that, but most people seem to have this story, right? Like where Raspberry Pi had this just drastic impact on their life that transitioned them into this world. I mean, I have the same story. Like, I mean, I've said it a million times, but I remember when my buddy came running up to me telling me about the Raspberry Pi, I didn't even believe it, right? But I mean, here we are now, X amount of years later, and this whole SBC revolution is in full swing. So that's really cool.
Yeah, even though there were like other SBCs beforehand, like the Panda board and the BeagleBone. But yeah, like the Raspberry Pi was the board that mostly transformed the developer world.
So what's interesting is, so you got this Raspberry Pi. Did you buy your own, or did someone give it to you, or how did you get your first one?
So my first one was given to me from my history teacher.
Okay, so your history teacher gives you a Raspberry Pi. What do you do with it? Like, what was your first thought when you received the Raspberry Pi?
The first thing I've done was obviously installing Raspbian at the time. And then I saw like this project which was Berry Boot, and from there, like I was able to install, I think it was Android 4.4, and that one was actually built by Lenaro. Like you booted up the Android image and you had that Lenaro logo as your splash screen, and also as background on your Android.
Awesome.
Yeah, and then I continued with like it was Nextcloud at that time, like the version before they renamed it to Nextcloud, but that was the thing I've done after that.
It's interesting. So you because I think there's two different approaches to. I mean, I've got a different approach. Let's put it this way. Like, personally, when I got my first device, I tried to make something out of it, like make a product, right? Like, or not a product, but like something I could use in my house, right? Where I think your approach is actually you wanted to explore what software could run on it, and how to get potentially different capabilities out of the device itself, right?
Yeah, and I mean, like, it was kind of interesting because for the Raspberry Pi was like the most powerful device I had at that time. I had a ThinkPad X40, which was like from 2003 with a single core Intel processor, and my phone with 2 cores. So the Raspberry Pi 3 was the most powerful device I had, and that was kind of interesting.
Cool. Really interesting. And so you evolved from Raspberry Pi. You said you then started looking at different SBCs, right? I'm curious, how did you learn about what you could do with the different SBCs, or even like what choices you had, and what the differences were between the different SBCs that you got your hands on?
So my second SBC I ever had was a Orange Pi Plus. And that was basically because we had a local retailer for Orange Pis in my town, which I moved since, but it was a very small town, like 9,000 people, and we had a person having the shop selling Orange Pis. I was like, cool, that's another ARM board, and it has gigabit Ethernet, and it has 8 gigabytes of eMCC, like. The Raspberry Pi has still only SD card as storage, and having that more capabilities and as like parts on the board was pretty cool at the time. But unfortunately, I was hit by the reality that those boards weren't really good supported at the time in comparison to the Raspberry. Nowadays, we have Armbian and most things are upstream, but then it wasn't at that time.
There's someone that likes iShotJR likes ThinkPad.
Who doesn't like ThinkPad like this?
So A13, where'd you get your name?
I had a Android tablet at the time, and that thing got broken. And I screwed it open, and I saw like a Allwinner A13. And later the chip came around, and I saw like preview images of them having or using a 13 Allwinner processor, and they switched to the Allwinner R8 processor after that, which is basically a renamed version of it. But like I had my first like Android device was powered by a Allwinner A13, and it was also like my first real contact with a ARM processor, like after the Raspberry Pi. Like screw it open and see what's inside.
So, not to give anything away, but I mean, as we said before, A13 is one of the moderators of a big community of developers, and I think there was a lot of people asking themselves like, how you got your name. So I think iShotJR has actually really enjoyed your question, Robert. I don't know if you've ever told this story before.
Well, iShotJR was on my birthday stream, and I told it there. Apparently, he forgot it.
Cool.
Yeah.
So interesting. So you've kind of evolved quite a bit when it comes to hardware, and I guess I asked you before, like, you know, how you got more knowledgeable about SBCs, but I get, how did the online world play a role in your like development and in your, when I say online world, I mean both like resources online, but also like online communities.
Oh, yeah. So, like the first community I got into was obviously the Raspberry Pi community. I was like going on the forums and had some chats on that. And YouTube was a big source at that time. And there I found a YouTuber called Geek Till It Hurts. And from there, I got interested in like.
You met Sahaj that long ago?
Yeah, I did.
Oh, I didn't know that. Yeah. Alessandro, you might not have known that, but you know Sahaj has like a pretty big YouTube channel, like 14,000 followers or subscribers.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I always see him on the 96 boards when I never realized he had his own.
Yeah. Geek Till It Hurts. It's a good one. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt A13.
No. And I watched like his Android TV and Buildroot videos, and I think like I followed his Instagram one time and then like wrote him, and that was basically how I got into all this and into the in the community I'm in.
How did you reach out to him? Like how was it? I mean, this is actually kind of interesting because you see someone online. How do you reach out to them on that? Like that?
I think it was over Instagram.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's been a time, so
yeah. I'm surprised. I was gonna say I'm surprised he chose to go with his name for the YouTube URL. I'm pretty sure he regrets that. Probably. I think you only get one choice, and he chose to put his name instead of Geek Till It Hurts. I'll have to ask him.
Oh, like he linked his Instagram on his website. So.
Yeah.
Interesting. I think that's a good question, Robert. You just mentioned how do you reach out to people online that you might want to like talk to. I think there's probably different ways. I mean, you just went like, I guess, cold. You just reached out to him cold on Instagram. What do you remember what you asked? Like, was it were you asking for it?
Like,
it's like, let me pull it up real quick.
Yeah.
Not really real quick because
you don't have to now. We can look at it later. But I wonder, you know, like I think there is different approaches, right? One could be like you ask for like a help with something. One could be like, I really like your video. You know, can we talk more about that or whatever? Yeah, it's interesting. I think. I
can't remember the first message, but yeah, like.
I mean, I guess, do you have any advice on how you would reach out to someone now? Like, if anybody was, you know, asking that question.
An ecosystem server, like we had a bunch of people there, and it's like, from like every resource or everything. Like we have people which are into ARM or which are developing their own operating system and those kind of stuff. And like you get a bunch of resources over there. Like you can just join, be nice, and ask questions, and that's how you like develop and learn more stuff.
I mean, it's super interesting. And Robert, I'll let you speak in a second because I know that you've got a lot to speak about when it comes to the DevEco server. But what's interesting in general about like online communities, I think, is that, you know, everybody's at the same level to some extent. I mean, obviously there's moderators and there's people like that are more familiar with the community, but actually it's interesting because you could go in there and literally like speak to anyone, right? Like you got a way of like messaging a lot of interesting people from all over the world, right? So it's quite a nice, neat. I think, you know, before online, obviously we're talking about like a few years back, but I think, you know, this is a massive shift to like being able to connect with anyone. And especially, I mean, sometimes I think about what would have happened if we had COVID, 10 years ago. Like
That would have sucked.
Right? Like, it would have been like everybody would have been at home on their own without being able to speak to anyone else.
Well, I think one of the things why a developer server on Discord is a good choice, because it's like the level of entry is very low. Like you don't have to choose like your forum. Like you can just install Discord, the platform many people use to like connect to their people, and you can like just join the server. You don't have to sign up for anything else. Like you can just join, and so the level of entry is very low.
Yeah. So I guess this is a good time to give that introduction, right? Like, what is the DevEco server? Why is it there? And then kind of maybe what you do, A13, as well as I might give a little spiel about what I do there. But yeah, so for anyone watching who isn't already on the DevEco server, you can see the link flashing down there below. I have a little card here. I'm just going to read this off. The DevEco server is a developer-focused, community-driven Discord server. It's a place for people to go share, collaborate, support, and drive projects and development with passionate, like-minded individuals in a real-time chat lounge. And that's kind of what Discord is. In fact, one of the I think it was the CEO or the founder of Discord put out a press release, some update. It was just like a couple days ago, maybe it was yesterday, where he was actually stating that Discord is now being used more for other things that are not just gaming. And originally, Discord, for people who kind of come across this, is like, oh, hey, we have a developer Discord server for you to join. A lot of people just immediately connect the dot from Discord to I'm not a gamer, and so why should I be on Discord? But it was actually publicly announced that, you know, Discord is slightly moving away from being an only gaming chat server or voice server. This is really cool. And not only that, I will say that Discord in general, it feels, at least to me, and there are going to be people who compare Discord to Slack or any other like IRC or any other real-time chat client or place for people to go congregate and, you know, talk about stuff. People, I don't know why you wouldn't like Discord the most. I mean, I don't know what you think about it, A13. Like, have you been on IRC or Slack? I don't know how you wouldn't like Discord the most, but even if you didn't, like, you should. The community that we have going right now is definitely worth giving a try. So, like, you know, I'll say that at least. But so, yeah,
I was on IRC before, and I was like skeptical about like Discord in general when I joined in 2018, but then I like fall in love with it because it's a really great platform.
Yeah,
it's so versatile, and you can have like so many servers over so many topics, and again, you can have your server with your friends or like the DevEco server, and compared to other platforms, it has so much more functionality.
I totally agree. Yeah. I mean, so on our server, And this is where we'll get into kind of like the roles and responsibilities of people on there. But on this particular server, DevEco, A13 is one of the admins. I myself am also one of the admins. And then there's another person, David Tischler, who is one of the admins. And then we have several mods. And the idea here is we have a whole bunch of little mini communities within this server, right? So it isn't a place that you just go and say, oh, I'm going to stop in there and share a project or do this. Like there's actually these little communities, these little tight-knit communities that have their own channels in this server. So we pull in these other communities. They get to share in the mod, the modding that we provide. So A13, several other people, we mod for all the channels. But when a community wants to join this server, we give them a channel and we give them control over their channel. So they get the ability to, pin their own messages, control whatever the banner is. They get to do whatever they want inside their channel, but they also get to take advantage of the fact that the mods are there to kind of help enforce the rules of the entire server. So it's kind of like isn't it? I kind of like to compare it to like a little, what is it, like not a WeWork, where you go to a big office building and you rent a desk. I think kind of like what Matthew was talking about on one of our things. Like you go and you rent a desk.
Co-working spaces.
Yeah, like a co-working space. There you go. So it's like a co-community space. We don't charge, of course. Like this isn't something we charge for. This is just, you get to just come in, and if you feel that you have a big enough community and you want to mod a channel, cool. Come on in. We'll give you a channel, and A13 and I will go bug your community. And
it's like a place where you can grow your community, but also like connect to other communities, and you can like do really cool stuff together because you're just a click away from the other channel, and you can see in it what's going on, how's the community doing, and like how's the general development in general. So you can like have we have for example a general ARM channel, or we have a channel for Tyano Core, and all sorts of things like that.
What's really cool is the fact that that's what I really like, the fact that you got like all these different channels that are kind of correlated to some extent. But then you can, as you said, like it's one click away, right? So you could go look at what other people are talking about. I mean, I will say though, one thing I do struggle with is the number of channels. It's really hard to like follow conversation. I asked you this before, Etienne. How do you follow conversations across like hundreds of channels, right? I think it's a big skill to have.
You got to ignore some of them. Like there's some topics. Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
I'm a Discord power user, no jokes away. I have some channels muted. And
don't give away which ones though.
Oh no. And you can like really easily navigate with Control K to your channel you want. And yeah, but this is going like we want to like redo that whole stuff, so you have a less stressful, more easy like experience, especially when joining the server. Like currently, it's like you join the server, boom, there are like dozens of channels. It's not like extreme, but like you have to look for your channel, and we want to redo it so you can have your channels after like what you want to do and your interests.
Yeah, there's a very interesting system that you can take advantage of, and it sucks because A13 and I were supposed to meet this year in March out in Budapest for the Linaro Connect conference. We were all booked too. Like I was booked, A13 was booked. We were going to go there. You were almost booked.
It was like I was at the travel agent and was like,
maybe I should call
I was asking like what happens if that thing got cancelled because of like Corona.
Yeah.
And it was like you can't, like there's no insurance to do that, and I was like, sure, let me come back tomorrow. I think about that. And the same day, like 11:35 p.m. I got the email that it got cancelled.
Yeah, like it was kind of right on the dot. But anyways, that whole point is that A13 and I were gonna, take a day to do a whiteboarding session, right? Like organizing a Discord server and organizing an ecosystem like this, like refer to it as an ecosystem because it's a bunch of communities, it's not an easy task. And, you know, when you're managing all these channels and people come in and they say, hey, can you make a channel for this? And you kind of got to say, well, are you going to manage it? Are you going to bring content into the channel? Or is this just going to make the list longer? Right. And so some channels get launched and then they don't get any action for a couple of months and we have to archive it. Right. And then you archive it. Then all of a sudden people are like, why'd you archive this? And, you know, let me go in there and start talking a bunch. You got to bring it out of the archive. So there are methods to make the server more usable and I say organized. We were going to organize all of this. We were going to have it all set. It's much easier to do things like this in person. So hopefully in the coming weeks and months, the server will start evolving to become more like a more usable and friendly server with regards to that. And when you join, this is the goal, is that when you join the server, you're not going to see anything really. You're just going to kind of see this general area and you'll be prompted to go to the badge section, whatever we're going to call it. This is why we need a brainstorm session, but you'll be prompted to go to this special channel where you get to choose your interests. And as you start to label yourself with your interests, you will unlock the channels that you want to be a part of. Okay. So there will be a general area that everyone on the server is involved in. That's just naturally when you join, that's where you'll be. But if you want to like participate in a channel like, I don't know, Fedora, we have a Fedora channel there. And if you're interested in Fedora, you'll add the Fedora badge and that'll unlock. It might not be Fedora, it might be operating systems. So we might have an entire category that addresses operating systems. And when you click the operating system badge, it opens that category for you. And then you can start participating in the operating system channels. So that's kind of the idea there.
Like having a like general topics, and after that you unlock, you have like, you can like fine tune which channels you want to be in.
A really interesting question I see in the chat from iShot JR. What can we do to make the server more inclusive?
I have a question back to that though. Why is it not inclusive?
Yeah, I guess in what sense? I guess you can respond to that on the chat and we can address it.
Yeah, so I'm curious. I mean, maybe A13, you know the answer to this, but I'm wondering how it's not inclusive.
Like define inclusive. There are like multiple meanings to that.
We'll wait for it. I'm sure iShot JR will reply with something back. In the meantime, I was going to say it's super interesting that you guys have kind of grown this from, I mean, 0 to how many people now?
I can tell you the exact number. There are 1,154 members. Now there could be some, we might need to do a little bit of cleanup, but there could be some repeats in there. Sometimes people have multiple accounts, but I try to clean it up every now and then. Still, A13 was the first person to join. And I think was September, something like that. It was before I joined my current employer, but yeah.
Yeah. Awesome. So you were, and I guess
it was named Developer Ecosystem.
It wasn't called that, was it?
No, there was like only one channel and it wasn't called Developer Ecosystem.
Yeah. Interesting. So yeah, it's gone a long way. I mean, I don't know if you know the number of channels that you've got now, but it's quite interesting because each channel, as you guys were saying, is actually a different community, right? So it's quite cool to see it grow like that. And I guess I really like this thing that you were saying about like potentially bringing up just the channels that you're interested in, right? Is that a back-end thing that Discord has implemented, and can you just use it easily, or do you have to do some work?
You can like have role-only channels, and there are like bots available for Discord where you can like react to a message and get that role automatically attached to you. So like we have a question, do you like operating system, etc. You react with a predefined emoji, you click on it, and you get that role attached to your like account on the server, and you have unlocked the channel for yourself, and you can even redo it. So
awesome.
So
cool. Well,
yeah.
No, I was just gonna say that actually JR is saying that what he means is he's saying, can we find ways to reach a larger audience, given that it's a fairly tight knit group?
So I'll say one thing, and then maybe A13 can have some stuff to add to this. I've tried. We are reaching a point where, you know, at the beginning, of course, we got massive adoption. People were just joining by the droves, right? And now we're at a point where it's kind of a few members a day, right? And sometimes we just level out. We're very rarely losing members. You all don't see this. Is there a way for me to share the screen, Alessandro? Like, can I share my Discord? Here, let me see. Share screen.
Maybe you should like enable stream mode in the settings first.
Yeah, we've got it.
Is that it like that? So what I was going to get at is there's what was the question again?
How to make it more inclusive, so how to get more people.
So at the beginning, people in the server don't see this, but the mods and the admins do. We have a join leave channel. This was something that in the early days people got really annoyed about because we had this channel public. It might be interesting to bring it back, you know, so that people can actually see what's happening in the server. But we get a lot of other servers actually do this as well. But we have the opportunity to see whenever someone leaves and joins, right? So like here you can see July 1st, which was yesterday, we had 4 people join and 2 people leave, right? So that's a net positive of 2. Today we've had someone leave, so someone better join. The other day we had 3 join and 1 leave. So for the most part, here's a negative day where we had 3 leave and 1 join. But for the most part, we are usually in a net positive every day. If you go to the information section, you can kind of see right here where we have the DevEco join link, the vanity link, you can see how many people are on the server. This is usually slightly inaccurate. And then of course we have admin talk, mod talk. And then as soon as you get to the official and go down, they all become public channels.
The previews are cached values, so they are not real time.
Yeah, right. So when you reset the server, it'll refresh this, right?
As far as I know, yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, I mean, that was really interesting. I think there's a lot of people that I'm sure will want to like check it out at least. And if you haven't done already, I'll just reshare the link so that.
Oh no! But wait, Alessandro. I just want to do one last thing here. One last thing. So I shot JR. I've tried to do several things. So one, there are Discord server websites that you can go to and advertise your server. So I've gone to a couple of these, and what you can do, it's kind of like free to play, pay to win type situations. You log into your Discord server, it advertises it for you. It puts a little plaque there. And then every day you can go in and in some of these situations, you earn these gems and then you use the gems to boost your server. That brings more visibility and then people join. That's one way, which we have tried, and it does bring in a very few amount of people. The second way is through bots, and some bots are linked to these channels. If you bring the bot into your server, people who also utilize that bot or visit the bot server, they can see your channel and then they'll come in. Third way, just kind of organic growth, right? So, you know, once we have enough people in the server, I mean, it would be awesome to see some, person with a bunch of followers on Twitter retweet one of our tweets or, you know, say, hey, join this server. Here's a DevEco server, and it's totally open, right? Like, we're more than happy to have people tweet about the server and welcome people in. And then, of course, like with all of this comes feedback, right? Like, we want feedback, and there is a channel inside the server. If you scroll down to the very bottom, support and help category, suggestions. So we're always open suggestions. We want to make the server the best as possible. If you don't feel that it's inclusive, we want to make it inclusive. Anyone's welcome there. Anyone can launch a community. Anyone can be a part of this. Last but not least, mailing lists. And so, if there's access to any sort of mailing list that this server might be beneficial to, bring it up. We would be glad to explore the possibility of, writing a little blurb or being included in a mailing list that could bring people into this.
I think
talking about iShotJR's comment. This is becoming a more general platform, not only for gamers. There are recently introduced like categories which you can search through. Like there's now a technology like tab, and I have to look into that, how we can add our server to that, so people can discover us right through Discord itself, through that.
You know what's really cool, actually. I'm while you're saying that, I'm thinking like the point here is that, you know, you see this question that iShotJR kind of rephrased. What's interesting is that both him and Matthew are commenting on the chat, and actually I'll show this other one here. I think you know, both of them, Matthew and iShotJR, that are commenting, are saying really like, we want to help more people, right? How do we bring more people that have less knowledge so we can help them, right? I think you know, this comment from actually Matthew saying actually that there are some people that, you know, he's kind of helped already, but I think it's interesting that yeah, there is community members here that are like looking for more people to help, right? And I think that's super encouraging, and it's really cool to see that there is this, you know, wanting to like spread knowledge and expertise. I really like that.
Yeah, like you can like have a conversation and like industry expert answer you. It might be not like immediately, because those are really busy people. But like you have a really close contact to those amazing people doing amazing stuff.
Yeah, I think that's a very important point, and something that maybe differs a little bit from this community or this ecosystem to others. These communities are literally hosted and run by some of the experts in that particular field and or for that particular company. So like, you know, if you went to, like, we have a channel called Balena Cloud. That channel, there are people from Balena. There is David Tischler in there who can help answer questions. We have 96 boards. Sahaj Sarup, Servando, Yang, they're all in this server. The people who run 96 boards are in this server. And the list goes on, right? Like, one of the most vibrant channels in the entire server is the RPI UEFI dev. So this is a channel that's run by Andre Workentine. If you see him on Twitter, he's like a huge ARM advocate on Twitter. What ain't inside. And I mean, him and another friend, Samer, they run this channel amazingly. I mean, it's constantly blowing up, and I think that might be one of the ones that A13 mutes. But yeah,
it is.
You gave it away.
I gave it away. But yeah, so
muted. It's only one.
But that's because that's interesting, right? Like, you mute that one not because you don't like what they say, but because actually they take care of themselves, right? It's a community that runs itself basically within the bigger community, right? So that's fair enough. I mean, it doesn't need any more moderation. I mean, there's the like biggest expert in the channel that like talk to each other. So,
and if there's something which is like if there's something bad going on, that just can ping the admins, and I still get a notification for that channel. It's just my phone doesn't ring like every minute or so.
Yeah, David is sharing that each channel has an owner from the community. David is another of the moderators across the Discord channel. So I'll bring up the banner one last time, and then I feel like I really want to see and talk about something else, not because I want to change the topic, but because I think we've got a really interesting topic to get into. So I don't want to leave you just 10 minutes to do that, because I think it's super cool. So for the ones that are tuning in now, like DevEco down there, you could see below the link to the server. And now I'm really interested in actually hearing about what you're working on. I mean, there is some people that probably have heard of it already. I mean, I'll just say the name, and then I'll let you introduce. I'll leave it at that, like what it is. But the name is Stony. So when I first heard it, I thought you were introducing me to a friend. So I guess maybe it is your friend, right? Like, in the sense that you probably put enough time into it in the last few months. So. But yeah, tell us about Tony.
So we had a comment, I think it was from iShotJR before, like amazing stuff can happen through that community. And we had a member of our community, Sahaj. He had a general idea about creating a arm device on a stick, which he built using tools he had at his hands. It was like a first design or like technology demonstration, so to say, based on a already existing single board computer and a USB UART adapter. And we thought, like, how can we make this better? Like, how can we turn it into like something we all want to use? And there was interest from the community on our server, and we have also like people from a company called Gumsticks on the server, and they were like, hey, we have currently like this thing going on where you can assemble your own device, your own ARM device very easily without any large fees or budget. And we tried it out. We used our Discord server to communicate. We had live streams accessible for everybody. Everybody could tune in, and we worked our way through to that product we have today and currently manufacturing. And I see Keith just comment. He was one of the persons who really helped. Like, it was amazing how like we had this close contact to the persons we were working with over the server. And
can I pause you a second? So what you're saying basically is that you came to the server, there was an idea that kind of was floating around, and then a group of people took it and kind of started talking about it a little bit more, and it actually turned into a real project that you guys started working on, right? So I personally want to pause on that, because actually Robert, I think you should comment on this, because I think this is the power of community, right? Like, you bring people in a room or in a server in this case, and they're able to like work together and actually make, turn an idea into an actual like product, let's say, or kind of like proof of concept, at least for now. So I think that's just awesome. That shows like how powerful this community, or in general communities online, are, right?
To me, it's just amazing. First of all, you need someone like A13, right? Like someone who has ambition, someone who wants to do something, an idea, right? And also the want to reach out, right? So like A13 took the initiative to kind of be a part of this, right? Then, as A13 mentioned, like you're in a server with quite literally industry experts. I mean, me and Keith kind of go way back, right? I remember having him on the Open Hours show. He flew a drone on one of our live streams, and the guy is awesome, right? And so, he literally works for the company that made Geppetto. Not only that, he works for the company that then creates the hardware that you design on Geppetto. And so like he's in the server, and then, you're talking about A13 then hashing out an idea with Sahaj, who literally works for a company that creates specs and compliance standards for another SBC, let's call it company, right? And you have all these people in this server, and then you have people like David W. I don't know if he wants me to say his last name, but you have people like David W. who are just like these, I want to call them like mentors. Like, he's just kind of an awesome person, and he's there and he's motivating, and he drives people forward, and he just contributes to the community in such a tremendous way. And then you take all these little components together, and sure enough, they're all hashing this stuff out on calls like this, on the server, talking, and then organizing things within the voice channels, and then streaming it and sharing their screens and showing the development process, and then sharing it and crowdsourcing it. I mean, like A13, you even didn't you just crowdsource through the server a spin up or of the board?
We like asked people who were interested to get like the funding for the board, and we organized that through the server as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, like David W. He connects people, and we had like it was basically to a certain point it was possible because of the quarantine we had. So we had like discussions with people and manufacturers to like ask or look how we could do it after the Geppetto stage, which is a really awesome platform, but it is for prototyping or small batches, like to get the idea tested. And we were like, what happens if we succeed, and what could we do then? And we like I was waking up at like 4 a.m. just to be on a call with a manufacturer in China, and David W joined, and Sahaj joined as well, and it was kind of amazing seeing this movement inside the server.
Yeah, I mean it's just an amazing story, and it's I think it's, you know, we've only been running what, a year now. Like the server has been running for a year,
Less than
less than a year actually, from September. Yeah, you said September you were the first one. So in less than a year, you already have like a very successful story of how like communities can actually come together and create real value, right? So with that, actually, I'd like to invite you to show us Tony. I mean, I guess you probably got something a prototype, but also I know you wanted to show us some of the behind the scenes, like how do you actually develop this, right?
So because of the current situation, we currently don't have a prototype. Like I have a 3D printed version of it to see like the dimensions, but we can talk about that later. But the manufacturing was delayed because of the current situation, but we should get our Tonys soon, very soon. But I can like show you Tony how we like what tools we used, and then make a small like walkthrough.
Yeah.
Screen.
So A13, just so you know, we have about 11 minutes left.
Yeah.
So yeah, it would be really nice to see Geppetto, and I think you can pull up a 3D rendered, like your design actually of Tony, so we could see that.
Yeah.
And then maybe you can kind of explain a little bit about Geppetto.
Yeah, I'll bring it up and I'll leave you to that.
So this here is basically Geppetto. It's a web-based like tool you can use to create like boards to test out things, and we did that. Tony is based on a Raspberry Pi compute module, which we can see here. Like you can place these parts from a large number of components, and like just drag and drop them, and you can have these connections made quite easily. Like the software is helping you with that, and it's a quick and easy way to create your own design, which we did because we had that like thing going on with you where you don't had any setup fees. And not only lets it create your design, you can order it right from here. You have a 3D view of your design, which you can export as STL, which I did, and 3D printed. Like this here is a 3D rendering of Tony without the compute module inserted. And there you can see like the main features: the Raspberry Pi compute module slot, the SD card, and the USB port, the USB-A port through, where you can connect Tony to your host PC. And you can even do a Autodoc, which generates a data sheet right for you. And you can even create a board support package, which generates your device tree and stuff. So it's a really great tool to like get your designs out and order like 10 or 100 boards of it, and from there you can go further and like build your own board with like larger manufacturers. But this tool is really great to like see, design your board, and it gets new features like very often. Like we now have a Altium tool.
Yeah, you mentioned while we were starting call, you mentioned that actually there's a new feature that just got implemented today,
Yeah,
right?
right. That is like I just saw it today. Like you have a 3D viewer for your PCB, which is more detailed. Like you can see the trace, etc. You can see the PCB with the unconnected traces, or even the circuit, right from your browser, right from your Geppetto tool. And if you need help, you can like just ask them, and they are like really helpful. For example, we found some bugs, and of course, Keith was at our hand. We helped them. Also, like how she called. Well, she helped us through the chat as well, and it's a really great tool, and it enabled us to create Tony so quickly. And now I want to do like a small walkthrough through Geppetto. Like you start with a blank slide, and now you can do like new. Oh no, we are already in new design. I'm a bit confused. They changed something. Builder. There it is. It normally auto starts. So you have your board builder where you can like choose your boards and stuff. Like you can choose Raspberry Pi, NVIDIA, Jetson. Let's take that. What sensors do I want? Humidity, RGB, and stuff. I can add your microphone, speaker, memory. I can add Ethernet as well as like USB and even other size and things. And right now we can start to build the board, and now you can see like that it's red. Like the board is red. Like you have a few requirements, and now you can like add power sources. It takes a while. And it like auto detects what you need. And now like now the components are yellow. So you have something, but it's not all what you need. So like you can now add 5 volts. Disconnect. It like as you see it shows you like if you have something as arrow. Right. VCC. Let's. Oops. Five volt disconnect. It's 5 volt. Right. And then we can have here like the. I don't see the 3.3 volt regulator, which should be fine. You see, you can like just add the power and stuff, and just link them up like this. And if you now go to, you have these categories, and we can now go into power, and there should be a 3 volt regulator. Power regulators. Yeah, 3 volt. We can add this module and drag it onto, and it turns green because all requirements are met. And now we can like add up the 1.8 volt voltage regulator to the 3.3 volt regulator, and so on.
So this is a real board development in like less than 5 minutes. I mean,
yes,
real time. And actually, you're doing it from scratch. And you picked. Did you pick an NVIDIA Jetson? Did you say?
Yeah, I did.
So it's actually, I mean, quite a complicated piece of hardware, actually.
Yeah. So
it's quite interesting. So what does it give you at the end? what's the product of it? Like, I guess, what kind of files does it produce?
So you can have your 3D view, like your STL, to have a 3D model of it. Then you can create a Autodock and a auto board support package for your board. You can download the CAD files, which are in Eagle, but they are not routed. It's basically just to see. But then you can like go and order the board right through from the UI here, and a person at Gumstix checks it, and then you have your boards built by Gumstix. There's nothing else you have to worry about. Like they do like component sourcing and those kind of stuff.
And all this is, I mean, the development of the board is all for free, or do you have to pay something to access this service?
No, you don't have to pay to access the service. Like you can access the service, and you can design your board, ask like other people what they're thinking. Like we had multiple iterations of Tony, like we added features people wanted, and you can change it and you can work with your board as long as you want. That's completely free. You can even take a look into the Autodock and AutoBSP, and you only pay for the manufacturing of the boards. And then again, it's really helpful to have these the possibility, or you don't have to like see where you can manufacture your PCB, where to source the parts, etc., etc. It's all done for you. And even if you have a great idea, like I am learning CAD tools like Eagle and KiCad. I use Eagle at work. It's much simpler and way quicker to produce a prototype for your idea, and like have a prototype in your hands, like a real working board. And that's just really cool and so amazing to have this capability.
Yeah, it's really cool. I mean, I've put again the link to the website down there. It's called Geppetto, and Geppetto is actually the name of Pinocchio's father, right? I think that's probably where it came from. It's like the creator of Pinocchio.
I think one day it'd be nice. I mean, I know Keith's really busy, but it'd be nice one day to do a Gumstix series. I did this before for open hours, and it was actually very, very successful bit. It could be like two episodes where maybe we bring Keith in to talk about Geppetto and do like a full walkthrough, and then we might even sorry, go ahead.
We have something like that actually planned for the tech show.
Oh, nice. Oh, if you know what, we have like only a few minutes left. If you want to talk about the DevEco tech show that you run.
Yeah. So we have our as a Discord server, we have our own YouTube channel. Robert posts videos, and I try to make a show every Sunday and post interesting videos about that.
Will there be an episode this Sunday?
Yes. So it might be Geppetto, and if that doesn't turn out, we can watch me building my 3D printer I got after 6 months. So
nice. Wait, you got the Prusa, right? Sorry.
Yeah, the Mini, like
the Prusa Mini. Okay. Yeah. I'm looking for a 3D printer as well, but I mean, like it jumps. Like you either spend $100 to $300 or above $700. Like there's no real middle ground area.
I was going to just put this up. Matthew is interesting in asking more questions, but he's saying they're probably long questions, so he's going to ask them in DevEco. So
and because of this, we literally, this is how cool it is. We just made a channel for Gumstix, Geppetto related questions. We just gave Gadget Guru Keith full permissions, and Matthew is already in there asking his questions. So
I'm curious, who made that channel right now?
I just made it. Yeah.
So it does. Oh, you actually managed. You're a good multitasker. I mean, I guess you didn't ask any question for the last 5 minutes, so maybe that's
it's
building the channel.
But all parts are green, which means the board would work and boot Linux.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. It's probably it's ugly. Like you have you have just your few connectors and your 3D view here. But it would work. It wouldn't be very useful. But you can this shows off like how fast you can do your development for your ARM-based prototypes or even other boards through Geppetto. And now I have to save it first. All control commands do work.
Awesome. I mean, this is absolutely fantastic that you could bring it up.
And now I can go through.
Yeah, it doesn't really take any expertise, right? Because it tells you what's missing, and you just basically have to like click a couple of things, right? Obviously, it takes expertise to build the right board, so the expertise is somewhere, but at least it doesn't take it to like connect the right things, or at least there's a lot of checks in place that enable you to make sure that you're not missing anything or any connections or any stupid mistakes that you might do if you're not an expert in this field. So that's super cool. I really like that.
If you have a bit of knowledge, you can do it, and even if you have knowledge, it's great. Like we did it in hours with in live streams with our community. I don't think that would be possible if we have done it in Eagle or KiCad.
We should probably. I mean, that's a really good idea, Robert. We should probably have a live stream once where we just develop a new board and actually print it. I mean, come up with an idea.
So I already have an idea, like a Jetson-based 96 board would be great.
I mean, maybe I'm not sure if that could be one live.
No, I think Geppetto actually has the 96. It has the 96 boards layout integrated in, so you literally get to just pull the footprint in, and then plug and play.
We can just do this.
Oh, we can't see your screen
anymore.
Oh, okay.
But I trust you. We're running out of time.
Yeah.
So I wanted to just like, first of all, thank you for showing us the demo and talking to us about your story and how you got here. I thought it was really insightful, really interesting. Yeah, Robert, did you have any last thoughts or things that you wanted to like raise or talk about before we?
A13, yeah, A13. Thank you, Alessandro. A13, keep up the good work, buddy. Thank you very much for being a part of the DevEco server. It's been like awesome working with you this last almost a year, and the year to come, as in like every day after today, is going to be a bunch of changes coming to the server. So we are always looking for ways to make it better, and I look forward to working with A13 on
it. Join the DevEco server.
And guys, if you want to connect with A13, you could see here his Twitter handle. So feel free to. I think A13, you're obviously open to answering questions on Tony, either on the server or perhaps on your Twitter account. So yeah,
channel on the server as well.
Yeah.
Join, search for Control K Tony, enter, and then you can chat about our current development. Cool.
Well, again, thank you so much for coming to the show and chatting to us and talking about Tony. And I mean, now I finally have seen Tony. I mean, still virtually, but I mean, there's not really much. Even if you showed me a real prototype, it would have still been virtual anyway. So it's as real as it can get, I guess. So thank you so much. It was really fun to speak to you, and it was really interesting to hear your story and how you got here and how much you've got involved in the community. You know, you kind of dipped your toes and then you got fully involved, and actually out of this came out this massive collaboration that's really interesting. And I'm really excited to see what comes out of this board and like the success of the project. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. I'm interested to see how it all develops as well. And of course, we have to thank the community like David Tischler, David W. And especially Keith from Geppetto, who helped us personally in that whole development process.
Yeah. Thank you. Any last thoughts, anyone?
No, thank you very much, Alessandro. A13. Have a nice rest of your day.
Thank you. I like that. I like that microphone closer. It sounds like late night DJ voice.
We should do an episode without videos where we do play jazz and talk about
Yeah.
music.
Cool. Well, guys, it was a pleasure. Thank you so much. Have a great rest of your day.
Bye.
Bye.